If you are as indecisive as I am, don't order this many tumblers. Just get all black. Let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Crafting with Delonda. It's me again, Delonda, and thank you so much for joining me today. We are going to be engraving some tumblers today with the WeCreat Vision laser engraving and cutting machine. I have the 20-watt diode laser, and I'm just in love with it. Now, at first, I did not know how to get the settings right, so my tumblers were not being engraved all the way down. So as you can tell, when you look at this one, you see there's a big gap right here, and this was actually the second attempt. I tried it this time. I tried to do a hack and go like with a small space and then it was just too much. But I was able to get in contact with someone from WeCreat, and they gave me the proper settings to try. So I'm going to show you what I've learned about how to set up the tumbler properly in order to engrave a full wrap 20-ounce skinny tumbler. At the end of this video, if you find it helpful, remember to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the bell for notifications because I do upload new content every single week. Now, without further ado, let's look at the materials first. Then I'm going to take you step by step through setting up the inside of the machine and looking at the important settings in the software. Let's get started. In addition to the WeCreat, I'm also going to use powder coated stainless steel tumblers. I'm not sure which of these three I'll be using. I'll use a measuring tape to measure the distance around the tumbler. This is the rotary tool that comes with the WeCreat. You'll need this in addition to the holder to hold up the tumbler. This is a level. It comes with the rotary pack also. I'll use the Mr. Clean little magic eraser to clean off the debris from the tumbler after it has been engraved. And then these tools will be used to hold the tumbler in place in the rotary attachment. I'm going to demonstrate how to do all of that. Now let's head over to the WeCreat so I can show you what the inside looks like before we attach the rotary attachment. The first thing I'm going to do is reach behind the machine and turn the power off. And then I'll open the top of the WeCreat and I'll remove the two laser bed grills that are in there and just put them to the side. On the inside and to the left of the machine, you'll see two screws with a middle opening where there's no screw. I'm going to remove those two screws and replace it with the rotary attachment. Before I remove those two screws, let me show you what the rotary attachment looks like when you get it from the package. It comes attached just like this, and there are two openings, and then there's one screw that's already in place in the middle. That one screw will fit firmly in place in the middle where there's a missing piece. There are also 6 screws here that I'm going to remove, and I'm going to replace them with metal rods. So I'm going to use the hex tool that comes with the kit, and I'm just going to use the longest end of it and loosen all 6 of those screws so that I can remove each of these 3 black they feel like rubber, these black rubber pieces. I'll speed this part up. Now that I have those 3 black pieces removed, I'm going to grab the 3 metal rods that also came with the attachment, and I'm going to screw them into the hole that is the furthest from the center. So I'm just screwing them in, no tools needed for this part. They will fit firmly into each of those holes. And I'm sure you could screw them in any of the holes, but I'm using it for the furthest part away from the center. Now I'm going to remove those screws with the same hex tool that I used to remove the 6 screws. And once I remove the 2 screws from the rail, I'll use those screws to put them on the rotary attachment in those two openings, and I will screw the rotary attachment back to the rail. Now, I know you can't see it right here, but I'm using the hex tool. I'm just going to get that screwed in. And now I'm going to attach this cord to the back of the WeCreat. So it should be in there firmly. Remember, the power here is still off. Now I'm going to grab the pink tumbler and I'm going to put it on top of those 3 metal rods and I'm making sure that it is tightened. So there's a wheel that's behind the main piece. You can twist it to kind of bring the rods in closer, and you can twist it in the opposite direction to bring it out wider. So bring the rods in close, and then once you insert your tumbler, tighten it up so that it does not move and it is locked in securely to the rotary attachment. You can use this hex key to tighten up the wheels in the back, but I found it easier to just tighten it with my hands. I just use that as needed. Now I am double checking to make sure that my tumbler is secure and that I can fully rotate it and it's not going to move. I'll put the holder under the tumbler, but you can see just by twisting it to the right, the wheels will go up. Turning it to the left will make the wheels go down. You place this under your tumbler and then you twist it to the right or left to make sure that your tumbler will rest securely, and then you use the level to make sure that your tumbler is in evenly. Now it's time to power the WeCreat back on and prepare the software settings for laser engraving. Before going into the software, I went to the Creative Fabrica website and found 2 files that I wanted to use. The first one is a mental health matters file, and the second one is Black Girl Inspiration. I downloaded both files. The Black Girl file was a PNG, or is a PNG, so I went to remove.bg and removed the background before bringing the file into the software. Now we're in the software, and this is how it looks when you still have the settings on laser flat. Because I'm going to be engraving something that is cylindrical, in the software settings, I clicked the option for laser cylindrical, and then I brought the file in. Once I bring the file in, I'm going to bring it in and start to resize it. Remember, I'm bringing in the file that does not have a background. So this is how it looks without that white background. You only need that background if you're going to be using this file for sublimation. So now what I'm doing is resizing the file, and I'm going to change the settings right there. I think I entered 9.4 at first, and then I changed the perimeter to 9.3, and I just played around with the size until I got it to show a 3D image that fit perfectly around the tumbler. Now, while I'm adjusting the settings, one thing I will say is that I love the option to see this as a 3D preview. I can look right here and see that I still have too much space in my seam. So I'm going to continue to resize the width of the image until there is no space in the seam. So I unlock the proportions at the top and I just continue to play around with it. And I think I ultimately changed the setting or the perimeter to 9.3 until I got it exactly right. The next thing I did once I decided on 9.3 is that I went into the settings and I chose stainless steel, and I chose this to be a red tumbler even though my tumbler is not red. And I kind of just looked at the settings until I found the one that I thought would look the best. I didn't want the girl to look too dark, but I also didn't want the words to look too light. And that's just one of the effects of working with a PNG rather than an SVG, because with the PNG all of the file is one image, and when you're working with an SVG you have a little bit more flexibility. I ultimately decided to go with a power of 78 and a speed of 55, with my line density being at 100 with one pass. I clicked send and I went over to the machine to get it started. All right, we're at the finish line. Let's see how it looks. Okay, I'm just gonna pull it out from the WeCreat, and this is how it looks without being cleaned. You can see it's very dull and kind of dusty looking. I'm going to get it cleaned up, but let me first insert the blue tumbler. Same process I used the last time, making sure that it's level before I go and set up the software. Everything looks great. Now let's go back over to the desk so I can get the pink tumbler cleaned off and get the blue tumbler started. All right, so here's the tumbler that just finished. And what I want to do first is just wipe it down with just some water. I have a dry paper towel and just a regular cup of tap water. Tap water. Let's wipe it down. It's very pretty. This is how it looks before using the Mr. Clean. That's how it looks. It's not as sharp as I would have wanted it, but it's still pretty. Like right here, it's not sharp at all. But let's see if we can kind of clean it up a little bit. So I want to just wet this and go over it. And this is the finished tumbler. Look at how pretty that is. Oh my goodness. So it's not as sharp. It's not as sharp as I would have wanted it to be, but it is still very, very pretty. So maybe you can see it better back here. I think it's pretty. Blue tumbler, I went back into the software. This time I used an SVG. The first thing I did was remove all of those like cloud bubbles or cloud shapes behind the words. I didn't feel like they were necessary for this tumbler. Maybe if I was using sublimation, I would have kept those in. But for this project, there was no need. Once I removed all of those settings or all of those cloud bubbles, the next thing I did was I went in and made sure that the design was set to fill engrave. So I brought the design up closer to just make sure I was getting all of those pieces, because every time I thought I was finished, I found another piece. So I made sure to remove all of those, and anything I kept that was kind of like a bubble, I just set it to engrave. Next, I changed my settings from basswood to blue stainless steel, and I kind of just played around with the settings, even though I didn't use any of these exact settings, but I'll show you what my settings are before I actually cut. I did a 3D preview. I looked at my seam. I could see it was not wide enough. I unlocked the proportions at the top, and I kind of made the design wider because I did not want there to be a seam at all. My ultimate settings were on 85 for the power and 70 for the speed. I double checked my 3D preview and I clicked start, and everything was good to go. This was supposed to take 53 minutes, but it actually took less time than that. Got it into the engraving machine, but you had already seen this part, and I kind of just paid attention to it and kept an eye on it. I was very, very impressed with the accuracy and speed of this laser engraver. All right, so the blue one is finished, and I'm going to remove it, and I am going to get it cleaned off. This is how it looks before being wiped down with the magic eraser. Okay, so here's how the tumbler looks before being wiped down. This is it's so good. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Have a dry paper towel. I'm going to wet it. What is that? Look at how nice those turned out. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's look at them. So these are the finished tumblers. And what am I going to say? I love them. I love both of them. I love the way they turned out. I actually like working with SVGs better than PNGs because even though I still got a nice image with the PNG, I feel like it would have been so much better with the SVG if I could have controlled the pressure in certain points of the file. But I love the way they turned out. I'm excited about the fact that I can engrave a full tumbler instead of having all of this space left over. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, how you feel about working with PNGs and SVGs and which one is your favorite. If you did find this helpful, remember to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the bell for notifications because I do upload new content every single week. Thank you so much for joining me today, and thanks for watching. Bye.